Welcome to the FlipTech East Coast Podcast, a podcast designed to introduce you to this year's teacher presenters. This year's conference is being hosted by Collingswood High School and is being held on June 29th and 30th. The conference is presented by the Flip Learning Network. In this episode, we bring you Martha Ramirez and Carolina Buitrago. They are session speakers speaking on in-class flip, understanding the logistics behind the flip. If you are interested in hearing Martha and Carolina or any of our teacher presenters speak at this year's conference, please visit fliptech.fliplearning.org to register. Again, that's fliptech.fliplearning.org. And now we pick it up with Martha and Carolina. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the FlipTech East Coast Podcast. And today we are so excited to have two amazing Colombians co-presenting. They're going to be presenting at the conference on June 29th and 30th. They're going to be presenting on the in-class flip, understanding the logistics behind the flip. And we have with us Martha Ramirez. Say wave so everybody can so that we don't confuse who's who. And then we have Carolina Rodriguez Buitrago. Right there she is. She's done this a couple of times because she's made three. She has three presentations in the whole conference, but today we're going to focus on this one that Martha and Carolina are co-presenting. And so, how are you ladies doing today?
Good. Fine, we're great.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you guys. We love the Colombians. It's like FlipTech South. We almost
Good. You have like five of us there. So
yeah, there's a bunch. Yeah. So Martha, I'll start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay, so hi everybody, my name is Martha Ramirez and I've been a teacher for about 15 years, I think, yes. And I started flipping 5 years ago through a research project that I did for my master's. And I have been in class flipping, I think, for about maybe 3. And for the last years that I've been working, I've been just focused on being a flipper, and I love in-class flipping. That's become my thing.
That's your thing, huh? And Carolina, what about yourself?
Well, in the interest of this particular presentation, I've been in class flipping, so for about 2 years now, or yeah, maybe a little more, because I started in class flipping in an online environment before that, so that was probably, 3 years, maybe. And I have in-class flipped pretty much every course since I came across this new way of doing things. And so just by looking for ways to make things more meaningful, more memorable, and to make learning deeper, we have tried out all these strategies, like in-class flip being one of them.
Okay. So let me ask you this then. How did you two meet each other? How did you get comfortable enough to put in a co-presentation here?
Okay, so I think we met maybe 10 years ago, probably. And we worked at a same place teaching English, and then Carolina became an academic consultant, and then I became an academic consultant. So basically, we were like the competition.
Yeah.
Friendly competition, right?
Yes. And then so we ended up meeting each other in different cities, presenting in different conferences as academic consultants. And then Carolina was one of the moderators of a Flip Learning session for the Electronic Village Online, which is a TESOL for English teachers.
Yep.
And I took that course, and then we started collaborating with Flip Learning.
So do you guys work together now in the same? I mean, you're in the same room right now, but that doesn't mean you necessarily work together.
Yeah, we do not work together like teaching classes in the same place, but we are working together in our projects. Mm-hmm. We collaborate in our in-class flip project. We're writing a book. We do our stuff together, but we do not work in the same school.
Okay.
Yeah,
But you you coordinate a lot. You have a lot of projects outside of your school environment that you're working on.
Yeah, we're always talking, and we meet up. I think we meet up once a week.
I think so.
We have writing sessions, and so yeah.
So let me go off script a little. You say you're writing a book together. So what's the book about?
We're about to hand in the first draft, so soon enough. Hopefully for FlipTech, we'll have it ready.
That's what I was going to say. So for the audience out there that's going to come to FlipTech, is there copies of the book going to be available for us to look at?
We'll do our best.
Yeah. Right. Hard to say right now, but
I know deadlines and publishing is tough. It's hard because it's like writing ends up being the thing that ends up getting kind of pushed to the side as you're doing the things that are more happening right now. But
right.
But if you can, I mean, it gives you 2.5 months to get something. It'd be great. Even if there was an electronic copy, I'm sure we would love to have it.
Thank you for that, Dave. Thank you for do that.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm always trying to expand my own knowledge base. So even if you don't have one for the general public, I would be happy to peruse one. Is it written in Spanish or English?
English.
English. Okay. See, I would love to proofread it. It would be great.
That would be great.
Yeah.
This is recorded. We're gonna take you up on that.
Yeah, right. Until I edit it out later.
So we don't have the evidence, but okay.
Yeah. No.
Right.
No, but I'd be happy to. So let's talk a little bit about conference and presenting. Carolina, I know that I've talked to you a couple of times, but and Martha, I'm not as familiar with your history in terms of conferences and presenting. Have you presented at conferences before?
Yes, I think I started presenting maybe 7 years ago. I presented nationally in Colombia and internationally, and most of the conferences I've gone to are TESOL for English teachers in the U.S. And I also gave a conference in Peru a couple of years ago. So I've done my part in presenting. Is that
the same conference that you went to, Carolina? In one of your previous interviews, you talked about going to Peru. Is that?
No, mine was not Peru. Mine was Ecuador.
Ecuador. Oh man, those they border, right? They're close, right? Oh man, how do I get to go to Ecuador for a conference? I guess I just have to put in a proposal, right?
Yeah, they have a really good conference actually, Copay. It's but anyway, it's all about English teachers. I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's going to be something for you there, Dave.
Right. Well, I don't talk English goodly, so I just I have to teach chemistry. So.
All right. Okay.
So, and Carolina, you've presented all around at TESOL conferences and this conference in Ecuador that we've talked about and things like that as well. Plus Colombia, so both of you are kind of experienced presenters in this case.
Yeah, right.
So let me ask you guys, what is it that makes you want to keep going and keep presenting to all these folks around the world?
Well, in my case, sharing is the main objective. Just sharing what we're doing, letting people know how we do how we apply certain strategies, and I guess that is the whole point of going to conferences. It's sharing, learning from others, and learning from each other. So that's what keeps me going. I assume Carolina too.
Yeah, it's basically that, and what Helene said in her interview. I think it's pretty positive for all of us, and it is to make this. To put the face on the person you talk to all year long via the computer, to meet new people and to make new relations, and to crazy people like that, look for new projects to get involved in. So probably to find new partners to collaborate with.
Yeah. I think that's one of the huge benefits of presenting all around meeting a whole bunch of different people that are kind of like-minded. I think that you both are. Right on in that sense. So I guess it's time to talk nuts and bolts here, because you guys are going to be presenting together on what we call the in-class flip, and that understanding the logistics behind the flip. So whoever wants to take this, go ahead. Describe what your presentation's about.
Okay, so we have done our in-class flip presentations a couple times. They are not too much presentations as they are demonstrations, because what we like is for participants to get a feel of what an in-class flip is. And as this one in particular is called Understanding the Logistics Behind the Flip, we know a lot of people have talked about the in-flip or the in-class flip, but in our work and our experience, we have come up with 7 different configurations for in-class flip. So it goes beyond what has been written by authors like Horn and Staker or Tucker or even Jennifer Gonzalez, who proposed the term at the beginning. So it's like we have tried to look for different ways to do this, and we have come across 7 different configurations. So what we want to share with participants through one is how to do it, like basically for them to understand how to just go on Monday to their classroom and set up their first in-class flip.
Exactly. So it's kind of condensing in one session what we've developed through the years we've been working together and what is in the book in a type of demonstration or workshop, so that participants are placed in the role of students. So it's like, okay, imagine you're the student. This is what an in-class flip is, and this is the feel, and of course we walk them through the logistics, and this is how it works. We give recommendations, etc.
And so this is exactly what your book is going to be about, right? Okay, this is great. Yeah. So this is exciting. So I'm now putting it all together, and I think that this is phenomenal. I'm excited to see, because I'm, kind of multi-sensory, like you have reading, we can read about it either before or after the conference. We can come to you straight from the developers, from the people who are publishing about this, and that's a really powerful thing, is to get the people who wrote the book right there in a session. So the in-class flip, whichever term you prefer, which term do you prefer? In-flip? In-class flip. Okay. It's still up for debate in a lot of the flipping circles, which one is the one, but either way, it's still the same idea. If somebody is going to come to your session, this doesn't sound like something specific for English teachers or TESOL or science teachers. This sounds like something that's going to appeal to the broader audience. Is that correct? Who's gonna get the most out of your presentation?
I think anyone who's in a teaching setting, whether they are administrators, whether teachers, anyone can benefit from this session, because in-class flip applies for professional development, for meetings. There are so many ways that it could be used. So we think anyone. Yeah.
I really like that idea of doing an in-class flip instead of an in-class flip, like an in-meeting flip, right. Where you say, hey, watch this, and then we'll sit around and talk about some of the more, or practice some of the things that I asked you to do. And I think that that's a powerful way to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so So part of coming to a conference is obviously presenting, and you ladies are going to present this amazing thing to, something that you're very passionate about, obviously very passionate about. You're passionate enough to write a book, which is no mean feat. But the other part of coming to a conference is attending the conference and just being somebody who gets to go to sessions and see things. So what do you hope to gain by coming to the FlipTech East Coast?
Definitely a lot of relations.
Yeah.
We have to meet people who are doing great things. The program looks amazing, so we definitely want to make some contacts. And also, there are so many things that we would like to see. Like, for example, I was checking and things like the differentiation workshops or the other in-class flip session that there is. Or, there are different things that are pretty interesting. I can wait for the conference. I think that's a great idea, too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, apart from being able to benefit from so much experience from other flippers and being the first flipping conference that we've been to, just meeting people in person, because we have had a lot of contact with many of the presenters who are going to be there. We've Skyped or we've Zoomed or emailed. or tweeted with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's wonderful to be able to say, you know what, oh, this is you physically, nice to meet you.
Right.
Let's talk,
Right.
let's see what we're doing
Right.
apart from what we interchange electronically. So that's going to be awesome.
Pretty cool, yeah.
Right. And Carolina, I can't go the interview without pointing out that I think you have a thing for meeting Aaron Sams. Is that like you just want to finally meet him? Not that you don't, Martha, but I know that Carolina has mentioned that specifically before. So
yeah, I actually said the word. Since she knows me, I'm a groupie. And I definitely can't just go without meeting Aaron Sams.
It's exciting. There's going to be a lot of people here.
It's very exciting.
And by far
I
and
feel
away.
like I'm going to Hollywood.
Yeah.
I'm just going to Hollywood to meet all my stars. There you go.
Right.
We're very honored.
Yeah.
Educational rock stars. That's
educational rock stars. That's what it is.
Yeah. And every person that I've talked to has been very humble about their own stuff. But I think that you guys deserve a lot of credit for all the work that you guys have put into advancing what we know and how we perceive flipping. So, I think that's good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so Martha, I'm going to start with you. The digital citizen in me has to ask you first before I actually do this. I have to ask, is it okay if I give you a question that I didn't send to you beforehand? Can I ask you that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question is, what color would? No, I'm just kidding. What color would you redo your hair? No.
I'm thinking of purple.
Purple's my favorite color. Yeah. Right. Me gusta. Okay. No.
Blue has been good.
Yeah,
people like blue.
Yeah. It's no. So you have been teaching for a while now, and you've had a lot of different stages in your career, and so my question to you is, if you could go back in time to, years ago, whether it was 15 years ago at the beginning of your teaching career, or 10 years ago, whatever, but a while ago, if you could go back and tell yourself some advice. If you could go back and tell the younger version of Martha Ramirez some advice, what would that advice be?
Whoa, that's a nice question.
And it doesn't have to do anything with flipping or educational technology. It's just advice about teaching or about the job or about students or anything.
That's a tough question.
So while you're thinking, I'm gonna say something. It's really funny because I've interviewed almost everybody at this point. Okay, and Aaron Sams was one of them. Okay, so I interviewed. You're waiting. I could see Carolina, her eyes light up. She's like, yeah. No, but and so almost everybody has the same reaction as you do, Martha. They sit and they think about it. They're like, oh, this is a tough question, good question, but tough, whatever. Aaron, actually, this is how crazy in a good way he is. He says, oh, I know the answer to that question. Like immediately he says, because he's a pre-service teacher as well. He's teaching the, teachers. And so he said, I ask my students this question. And so they then ask me the same question and I know the answer to it right away. So he didn't even have to think. Aaron Sams was like, I know the answer to this question right now. And so that was really funny that sort of happened. So, Martha, was that enough time for you to think? Or were you just riveted by the story?
Well, I'm understanding what you're saying.
She's focusing on the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I had to talk to myself or give myself advice, the question was if I had to. Can you repeat the question so I can just kind of
Yeah, sure. If you could go back in time and give yourself advice, what would it be? And it doesn't have to be. It can be about flipping it, but it doesn't have to be. Like in terms of education. It's what kind of things would you, or what would be the thing you would tell yourself?
Okay. So yes, if I had to go back in time and give myself some advice. I think the main advice would be say yes to all the learning opportunities life offers.
Look at Carolina next to you. Now this is why you guys are writing a book together, because that's almost word for word exactly what she said. Yeah, she said the exact same thing.
Okay, well,
She
I
said,
think definitely, yeah, like all the options of do this if it doesn't pay that well, but so yes, say yes because everything provides learning, and also share what you do.
share.
Because I think like I'm the person that I am because I have been open to sharing and to just letting people know this is what I'm doing. What do you think? I would tell myself also be open to feedback. Don't feel bad at the beginning. Just go for it, and you will learn a lot more through the years.
Yeah, and that's kind of evidenced, maybe not outwardly, but that's what we see when people write a book. You share, you say yes, you do it, and you put yourself out there for anybody to say anything they want to do. So, yeah, that's powerful. Okay, Carolina, you ready for your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually pretty curious.
You're curious, huh?
Yeah. Let's see.
Okay, so here's. Do you remember the other question I asked? I asked Huli.
You asked that one
Yeah.
to me as well, and
do you remember I asked Huli and you the same question? No.
Yeah. No.
Oh, good, because I gave you only one word, right?
All right. Okay.
Right? But now I want you to do 3 words. So pick 3 words to describe the way teaching looks in your classroom or lecture, whatever. Pick the 3 words that describe the way it looked. And then, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to see if it's the same, if they're the same as they were 2.5 weeks ago.
Right. Oh my goodness. Okay, so engaged. That's the first thing I can think of. My students are engaged. They're always trying to be on task and work on what we're doing. Yeah. Another thing is I don't know how to put it, like how to put that one in a word. Let's say surprising, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, there are students who told me that they are outside, sitting down, talking, chatting, and they say, "Oh, shall we go to class?" I'm like, you know what? Let's go to class. What is she going to do today? What if we miss something cool? I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So yeah, surprising and human. Human.
Okay.
In my class, there's no indiscipline problems. There's no talking back to the teacher. There's no disrespect among learners. And it's because we have built this human environment where everybody cares about everybody and everybody respects about everybody, because it's just the way things go in the class. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, those are some really good words. Now, the second part of that question, Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Because it has to be a little different. Is how is that different than when you started teaching?
Oh, well.
See, you didn't think I was going to be different, but I got you. Yeah. Poor Martha, she had to listen to a story about Aaron Sams while she was thinking. You just get it. Here you go.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? The thing is that when I was first starting, when I was a beginner teacher, I wanted my classes to be engaging. I wanted them to be surprising, and I wanted them to be human. But I was the only one working for that. But now it's all together. My students and I working together to get those 3 things going.
And so what changed?
That I gave control to them, that I let go. I let go of control. I relinquished control, and that's something that I've been talking about for the past year.
Right.
And it's one of the main shifts that have happened to me in my teaching through flipping, and it is just letting go of control, handing it into students, and just see them blossom, just look at them flourish the way they do.
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree with all that you're saying. It's both of you. I think that you both have a really great perspective on who you are now as teachers and educators, and I think it's really awesome to see. Yeah, so I think that wraps us up here. It's been so awesome to talk to you, Martha and Carolina. You guys are awesome. And don't forget to join Martha and Carolina at FlipTech East Coast, June 29th and 30th, where they'll be presenting in-class flip, understanding the logistics behind the flip. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
See you all there.
That's it for this episode of the FlipTech East Coast podcast. We hope that you join us at the conference. Again, for more information or to register, please visit fliptech.fliplearning.org. Again, that website is fliptech.fliplearning.org, and we can't wait to see you there.